Okay guys, let's be honest here. Who else feels like the first 3 months just flew by and we didn't really have time to work on our goals? Yeah, me too. To be honest, I haven't done one thing of the things that I said I would do in 2025. And I was beating myself up because of it, and I was this close to just give up completely on the new year, new me, working for a better life kind of scheme. Because I was thinking, where's the point? I'm already 3 months behind. There is no way I'm still gonna reach my goals. And if you were thinking the same things, I want you to throw those thoughts out, because these are the thoughts that are actually gonna hold you down. And if you keep on thinking like that, then yes, there is no chance you will reach your goals in 2025. But here's the good news. I feel like Q1 of every year are just the warm-up months. The season stays the same. If you live in the Northern Hemisphere, it's just this cold, dark, grey, and just not motivating at all. So with April 1st and the shift of the new seasons, the days are gonna get longer. It's just gonna get a lot more energized in nature, and you will feel it in your body as well. So I think it's safe to say that better times are coming for us, and with a little bit of a mindset change, we can still turn this year around. I want you to let go of the thought that you are behind, because first of all, you are living in your own time frame, so there is no being behind or ahead of anyone, because you're the only person you should compare your progress to. But if it helps, maybe think of the first 3 months as warm-up months. The month where we try to figure out what is working and what isn't working. The month where we see how realistic our goals actually are and where we need to tone them down a little bit. It is also okay to now realize 3 months into the year that the goals you had in the beginning of the year are actually not what is working for you right now. It is okay if priorities change and shift, because you are changing and shifting as well. Instead of holding onto that goal, just allow yourself to let it go and reprioritize the goals you actually want to achieve in 2025. But before we head into readjusting our goals and how we're going to continue starting from April 1st, I want to make one thing very clear. Just because you're working towards a better version of yourself does not mean that your current version isn't great already. We're not going to use our dreams to beat our current self up, because that's not going to bring you anywhere, and you won't find fulfillment if you just think of your goals as the end station. You need to think of the goals as a process that will be enjoyable in every step of the way, because only then you will find the motivation to keep going and do it in a healthy way. And I know it's easy to look back on the past 3 months and think there's no point in continuing. But something that put things really into perspective for me was to think about the year as a whole. We still have 9 months of the year ahead of us, which means there are 274 days until we reach 2026. Which also means that we still have 3 seasons of the year ahead of us: spring, summer, and autumn, which in my opinion are the best seasons to come. So instead of focusing on the 3 months that you've potentially lost, focus on the 9 months that will give you 274 chances to start fresh and refocus your energy. Okay, but how are we actually gonna do it, and what is my plan to turn this year around for myself and get a fresh motivation to work on my goals? So first, I want you to go through all the goals you wrote down in the beginning, and if you are anything like me, there are a lot. I think I have like 20 goals on my list, and not all of them are super huge, but 20 is a lot. And I knew that in the beginning of the year. I am still a strong believer of dreaming big and aiming high, but I think now is the time to get back to realism so that we can actually work on something without getting overwhelmed. So go through your goals and think about what you've realized in the past 3 months, some of your priorities, the things that will have the most impact on your life and on yourself. I also want you to adjust expectations. So for example, I wanted to be more consistent on Instagram and on YouTube. And these are still goals that I want to keep. But the plan of posting 5 to 6 times a week is not realistic for me. I know that now. I don't think there was one single week where I posted this much. So instead of throwing the whole goal out, I'm gonna adjust my expectations and tone it down a bit. I still have the same follower goal in mind that I'm working towards, but instead of putting an unrealistic amount of posting days in my schedule, I will adjust it to what I now know my weekly schedule actually allows, which for me is 2 to 3 reels. I'm hoping it's gonna be 3 each week on Instagram. Because something that I personally need to remind myself of is that it's always better to take slow steps into the right direction than to be overwhelmed and take none at all. So don't feel bad if you have to tone it down a bit, because I promise you that way your goals will be much more feasible and you will higher the chances of actually doing what you said you're gonna do. And then also, instead of working on 10 goals at the same time, I want you to pick out 3 goals that you want to focus on for the next 3 months. And I want you to choose 3 goals that will have the most impact on your life. So one of those 3 goals for me is my morning routine, because I know that if I start the day right and I don't scroll on my phone for hours, that will not only have an impact on my morning, but on the rest of my day as well. I will be more energized and more motivated to actually get out of bed, and it's also much more unlikely for me to get back into bed and continue scrolling because I set the intentions right in the beginning of the day. I did this actually the whole of January, and it was crazy how much better my days were, how much more energy I had, not only to work towards my goals, but also to go out and see friends, to go out and take myself on little dates, just to do more with my day instead of rotting in bed. So go through your goals and see what is something that will on the long run have the most impact on maybe even all of your goals. Because for me, if I start my morning right, this will give me the energy to work on every other goal that I set myself up for. Now that we have decided on which 3 goals we want to focus on the next 3 months, it's time to make an action plan. So this is the part where we think about how we're actually gonna reach those goals. Write down daily, weekly, or monthly steps that you need to take in order for you to reach the goals. And if your goal is, for example, a number goal, let's say you want to reach 100K on Instagram. That goal is technically out of control because you cannot just force people to follow you. But part of your action plan could be to post a certain amount of times during the week, to decide on your content pillars that you want to implement in your posting schedule, to write down how many times you want to have a story, how your editing style is supposed to be. These are things within your control, and these are actionable steps that you can take to reach your number goal that is, as I said, technically out of your control. And here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start easy in April. I will write down the basic steps of what I need to do to head into the right direction. And then in May I can reflect on those steps and increase the intensity if I need to. So start slow and go harder as the months progress. One thing that I love to do, and that is such an easy thing, but an absolute game changer, is start a habit tracker. For me, there's just something so rewarding about ticking off a box on a piece of paper. It's honestly embarrassing how happy this little tick can make me. So one thing that I'll definitely do the next 3 months, which I haven't done the last 3 months, is make a habit tracker. And there I will track down if I did my morning routine and I didn't scroll, how many times I posted on Instagram, all of those things that will bring me closer to my 3 goals. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this, maybe I should have said this in the beginning, but these goals, they don't need to be productive. I'm always talking about productivity, but with that, I don't mean like your classical productivity that will bring you success or money or help you climb the corporate ladder. Like if that's your goal, then of course do this kind of productivity. But for me, something productive is something that will bring me joy and that will make my life better and worth living and worth remembering. So for me, it's also considered productive if I read a book. It's considered productive if I spent the whole day painting. It is productive if I went out for a walk. It's also productive if I met my friends that day. All of these things I consider productive because they bring me closer to a happier and more fulfilled life. And part of my dream vision of myself and where I want to be is prioritizing my mental health and my happiness, and not necessarily financial or like business associated success. Obviously also fun, I wouldn't mind to earn a little bit more, but this is not my main priority right now. So I think that's all that I have to say on this topic. Let's turn this year around, keep each other motivated, and just remember it's never too late. You don't need the 1st of January to start working on what will be your dream life, whatever that may be. So start now, start tomorrow, start in a week if you need some time to prepare. I don't care. Just don't let those human-made timeframes stand between you and the you want to be. Okay, enough talking. I got some goals to reach, so see you next week.